Welcome to the Economy Magazine at I-24 News, where we provide a daily view on global markets and the world economy. I'm Natalie Ehrlich. Well, coming up today, Israel's #1 young gun on how he amassed a massive fortune. And Italy sees a renewable energy boom, but not without challenges. Let's start now with headlines. Barclays scrapped its dividend target on Wednesday to retain capital as part of efforts now to resuscitate that bank. The decision comes as Barclays posted a significant jump in Q2 profit to £1.15 billion from £161 million the same time the previous year. Well, this sharp rise was helped by the £496 gain on the bank's acquisition of part of Lehman Brothers back in 2008. Meanwhile, global markets were steady after the pickup in Chinese stocks on Wednesday. Chinese equities bounced between gains and losses until finally finishing up higher as Beijing ramped up its efforts to calm the markets. Still, trading volume was light ahead of the upcoming U.S. Federal Reserve policy meeting on Wednesday. Although the U.S. Central Bank isn't expected to reveal any economic projections, market watchers will listen closely for any hints from the Fed Chair, Janet Yellen. Now we're joined on the line by Ron Insana, a financial markets expert based in the New York area. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks, Natalie.
Well, what is expectation today from the Fed?
I think we might get some clarity around the timing and the likelihood of a rate hike here in the U.S. The Fed's beginning of its normalization process to bring interest rates off zero. Most economists believe that that's the case. The Fed has led us to believe that interest rates are going to rise at some juncture this year. So what we're really looking for here is a slightly more definitive statement than we've seen in the past as to the timing and the likelihood that the Fed's actually going to move.
Can we get any other kind of comments on the consumer or perhaps inflation?
Inflation has been moving slightly back towards the Fed's target until recently, with the renewed drop in oil prices, the decline in gold. A lot of basic commodity prices have fallen again on concerns that China's economy is weakening, last night's rebound in the stock market notwithstanding. And so some of the inflation rates that might have been moving back towards the Fed's target of 2% could reverse themselves. So, yeah, we may hear from the Fed that their expectation that the drop in inflation was transitory could be challenged by recent events, and we might hear about their concerns of with respect to the global economy. China is weakening. Europe is still on the soft side, though it is a bit on the mend, and they may suggest that overseas events could be one of the major considerations that dictate the timing of the first rate hike. But I think they're going to focus on domestic issues and just make a side note about what's happening overseas.
Well, thank you as ever for your insight. We do very much appreciate it, Ron Insana. In Japan, retail sales beat estimates. However, consumers there remain cautious. Retail sales rose an annual 0.9% in June, surpassing projections of 0.5%. Well, Wednesday's release marks a second straight month of weakening demand from Japan's consumer. Japan is the world's third largest economy. And Microsoft's Windows 10 launched worldwide on Wednesday. Alongside the software, Microsoft and its partners are expected to announce a series of new Windows 10 powered devices. Some tech critics view the move as an effort to reinvigorate its Windows franchise and even PC sales.
Windows 10 ushers in an era of more personal computing in a mobile-first, cloud-first world.
Well, the Internet of Things, or IoT, is a term you may have heard in some business circles. It's when the Internet expands to physical spaces like manufacturing floors, healthcare facilities, or even energy grids. To learn more about this topic, we were joined earlier by Eran Wagner, partner at Gemini Israel Ventures. On set, we have Eran Wagner, general partner of Gemini Israel Ventures. Thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
What is IoT?
Well, IoT, at least in my mind, is a huge wave of innovation, a tsunami that's going to impact and influence almost every aspect of our lives, of industry, technology, basically bringing new ways of measuring the world around us, learning a lot about the world around us, making predictions about things that are going to happen. And there are many, many different examples of how important it is going to be in the different vertical markets that we know.
Well, how will it impact outside the tech space? Are there any opportunities in industry or retail, perhaps?
So there's opportunities everywhere, from healthcare to transportation to industry to almost any aspect of our lives. If we look at healthcare, for example, think about a time when something that you wear will be able to measure your heart rate, all of your vital signs, your sugar levels in your blood, your oxygen level in your blood, your breath, and then determine whether or not you are about to have some kind of malfunction, and then call you to the hospital instead of just hospitalize you when things break down. Now think about that for cars. There's no more, and that's going to happen really, really soon. No more surprises in the middle of the road, unless it's an accident, that your engine breaks or something in your car goes wrong, because sensors will sense the malfunction way ahead of time and then tell you that you better go to the garage, or maybe someone will come to your house, fix it, replace something, and you'll continue with a car that operates 99.999% of the time. Companies like GE are already implementing things like that for jet engines and other products they make, and completely changed the business model of how they sell things and how they operate things to airlines.
Well, in your view, will IoT enhance the current industries that are out there, or will they be a disruptor now, these innovations?
So in some cases, the ability to plant sensors and plant communication capability all around the world, all around little items around the world, sometimes those will enable disruptions within industries and completely change business models. One way to think about that is the automotive industry, where now we have enough technology to put into a car that will enable it to drive on its own. The ability
driverless cars, like we see with Google.
Cars, absolutely. If we look at a company like Move It, that is completely changing the way people use public transportation, from an era where they have timetables that are static.
And Gemini invests in this company, correct?
Gemini has invested in the seed round of Move It. We've seen the company grow from 0 users to now almost 25 million users around the world in 700 different cities, where in some of those cities people map the public transportation system on their own because municipalities are not doing it.
Is it fair to say it's just like Waze for commuters? I mean, I use this app, for example.
A lot of people call Move It Waze for public transportation, and it's a nice analogy.
All right. Well, thank you very much for your insight. Do appreciate it here.
Thank you.
A renewable energy boom flourishing in Italy thanks to subsidies offered there by the government. But multinationals are accused there of pocketing the tax breaks without giving back to the local community.
With its sun, wind and open spaces, it's not surprising that the Italian island of Sardinia has undergone a renewable energy boom. Wind farms and solar panelling are helping boost an economy hit by soaring poverty and unemployment. This farm makes creamy ricotta based on an age-old Sardinian recipe, in vats powered by an ultra-modern solar steam generator.
We try to achieve what we need for our business. We are against the implementation of mega installations that only benefit the multinationals and not the local population.
And that's the problem. Multinationals are accused of pocketing green energy subsidies paid by the taxpayer without giving back to the region. On the island's western coast, 1,600 greenhouses with more than 100,000 solar panels sprawl across the town's most fertile fields. The Chinese company that owns the plant promised to grow aloe, but the sunlight is shut out by the panels and there's nothing but weeds.
The money goes out of Italy. The Chinese company bought a small Italian business that had obtained grants for the project. So in the end, it's the Chinese who are pocketing €6 million of grants a year for 20 years, in addition to $3 million a year from the sale of electricity. And for sure, this won't be reinvested here.
Italian prosecutors say the mafia are also involved. making fraudulent claims for subsidies. Some locals are trying to fight back. Manuela Pintus was elected mayor on a promise to prevent drilling for gas next to a reserve for protected pelicans.
It
was the parents, firstly, who opposed the project because they feared for the health of their children. Mums in particular were concerned about the start of the petrochemical activities.
Italy remains a world leader in clean power. 7.5% of electricity consumption comes from solar panels. But, for the moment, a combination of organised crime and multinationals are dirtying the country's green ambitions.
Well, now for a special interview, we're joined on set with Tomer Hen, the founder of Mopco Media. Thank you so much for being with us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Well, you are one of Israel's, if not the #1 Israel young gun here, and you've amassed this huge fortune already as early as 16 millions of shekels. What's behind your success?
I think a lot of enthusiasm and a lot of interest in the mobile marketing world and generally the business world. So I just went with my curiosity. And when I was 16, it was the point when the iPhones just came to Israel. So I saw all my friends and family looking for businesses and ordering a taxi through their mobile phone. And I said there must be a way to connect businesses and app developers to their audiences. So I just Googled mobile marketing and there was no information about it. So,
really?
Yeah.
So tell us more about this app. How does it work?
Well, it's not an app, but a service that we provide for app developers. We help them gain more users for their app through our media. So we help app developers make money from their apps by monetizing their ad space. So we sell ad space on about 4,000 apps around the world in about 160 countries. And we help other app developers to get more relevant users for their apps through this network.
All right. Well, several years later now at 21, what are you up to?
Well, now we're up to the next big thing in the third world.
Third world?
Yeah. So we're going to help millions of people around the world to get free airtime by engaging with other brands around the world. So the brands will provide those users and this audience free airtime by engaging with their brand. So for example, if you watch a Coca-Cola video, Coca-Cola will provide you free airtime instead of topping up your account, because in the third world, a lot of people pay a lot of money for airtime and data services. So we'll help them connect and get free airtime.
To basically help them pay for their bills, for their cell phone bills? Okay, That's a pretty smart idea. I mean, I'm sure there are people in the developing or even the developed world who'd be interested in that.
Yeah.
And so how is that going? What is that like, working or being from Israel and now seeking to gain access to these other markets?
Well, right now we work with about 160 countries. So I'm used to work internationally. And I'm used to travel around the world and meet my clients in India and New York and San Francisco. And that's pretty fun because I travel and work all together and I visit places that I've never even thought I would be.
Like what?
Let's say New Delhi or Singapore. And that's very fun. That's a lot of fun. And that's just gets two of my passions, travel and business, together.
Okay, so you've devised a smart plan here. Tell us a bit about working in different cultures.
Wow, that's very hard. Working with Chinese people is totally different than working with Israelis or Indian or American people. And when we look for staff members, we look for people who can be very, very adjustable to different cultures. And that's very hard even with time zones, because your client goes to sleep when you get to the office. So sometimes we have people who come to the office at 7 a.m. to talk with their Chinese clients, and that's very hard, even the accent.
So what are the qualities that you look for?
First of all, we're not looking for experienced people. That's one of our requirements, that they don't have any experience in the mobile marketing world.
How come? That's unusual, right?
Yeah, it's pretty unusual because we're looking for people who are coming without any boundaries or any processes from other companies. We're looking to teach them and help them get our processes. And
you want to shape your own people.
Exactly. So we have people with that studied chemistry or anthropology or theater. studies, and they come to work with us with the mobile marketing world. We're looking for people who have, fluent English and have great passion for marketing and for people, because it's all about people. You work with hundreds of people every day from different cultures, and you need to adjust yourself to the same person.
And lastly, you mentioned your work in China, and as it is such a big market and expected to be a huge market in the coming years, going to be the top economy very soon, what is your advice for entrepreneurs there who work in this major market?
Well, first of all, you need to work with Chinese people if you want to go to China. So you have to have a Chinese advisor if you want to go into the Chinese market, because it's always about connections there. Contracts are very, very fluid things in China, and you always have to look that you do business right, and Chinese like to work with Chinese people, so get this right.
Well, thank you very much for coming on the program. We very much appreciate it. That wraps up our show today. Stay tuned tomorrow, same time, same place, from the Jaffa Port in Tel Aviv. I'm Natalie Ehrlich. Thank you for watching.